Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, Russia's longest-serving leader in the modern era, is a figure whose rise to power, political acumen, and personal life have captivated global attention. Born in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, on October 7, 1952, Putin's career trajectory from humble beginnings to the helm of the Russian Federation is a testament to his resilience, strategic thinking, and deep ties to Russia's political and military elites. This video delves into the personal life of Vladimir Putin, his early career in the KGB, the nature of his political opponents, and his rise to power, examining the reasons behind his enduring rule. Vladimir Putin was born to a working-class family in Leningrad during the height of Soviet power. His father, Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin, was a factory foreman and a veteran of World War II, while his mother, Maria Ivanovna, was a homemaker. Putin's early years were marked by hardship. His family lived in a communal apartment, a standard of Soviet life, and his neighborhood in Leningrad was one of the most economically disadvantaged areas. It is reported that Putin's father, a factory worker, was seriously wounded during the war, which left a lasting impact on the family. Putin was an athletic child, reportedly excelling in judo, and he had an early interest in martial arts. His desire to engage in physical activities was matched by his academic pursuits. He enrolled in Leningrad State University in 1970, where he studied law. His professors recall that he was a disciplined and intelligent student, focused on his studies and relatively modest in his personal life. Putin graduated in 1975 with a law degree, a step that would eventually lead him to a career in the Soviet security services. Following his graduation from university, Putin sought a career in intelligence, a profession that offered prestige and access to the powerful Soviet elite. In 1975, he joined the KGB, Committee for State Security, the Soviet Union's primary security agency. This marked the beginning of his long association with the intelligence services, which would play a key role in his rise to power. Putin was stationed in Leningrad, working primarily in counterintelligence, where he monitored foreign diplomats and potential dissidents. In 1985, after years of serving in Leningrad, Putin's career took a significant turn when he was transferred to Dresden, East Germany, during the final years of the Cold War. While stationed there, Putin worked in the KGB's illegal intelligence operations, gathering information on West German and NATO activities. It was during this period that he gained first-hand experience in covert operations and the world of political espionage. In Dresden, Putin's mission was to gather intelligence on Western countries and prevent any influence from the West within the Eastern Bloc. The end of the Cold War in 1991 was a pivotal moment for the Soviet Union, and it profoundly affected Putin's career. The collapse of the Soviet system, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union in December 1991 marked the end of the KGB as an institution. This momentous event also had a personal impact on Putin, who was stationed in Dresden at the time. As the Berlin Wall fell, Putin found himself in a position where the KGB's operations in East Germany were rendered obsolete. This was a turning point that pushed Putin to reassess his future in the organization. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Putin resigned from the KGB and returned to Russia. His path would now be shaped by the political changes unfolding in the country. The early 1990s were a period of tumult and transformation for Russia as it underwent drastic political, economic, and social shifts. Russia's transition from communism to capitalism was fraught with challenges, and Putin's first major political involvement came when he entered the administration of St. Petersburg. Putin worked under Anatoly Sobchak, the mayor of the city, and a reformist politician who championed economic and political reforms. Putin served in various administrative roles, including as a deputy to Sobchak, handling issues related to foreign investments and international relations. Sobchak was instrumental in introducing Putin to the political world, and it was during this time that Putin's close ties to the emerging Russian oligarchs were forged. By 1996, Sobchak's political career faltered, and Putin moved to Moscow to pursue further opportunities. He quickly made a name for himself within the Russian government and was appointed to key positions in President Boris Yeltsin's administration. His loyalty, organizational skills, and expertise in law enforcement made him a valuable asset to the embattled Yeltsin government.
Putin's rise to power was rapid. In 1997, President Yeltsin appointed him as the head of the Federal Security Service, FSB, the successor to the KGB, where he consolidated his reputation as a shrewd, efficient administrator. His time at the FSB was marked by aggressive measures to crack down on corruption and restore state control over Russia's security apparatus. He was known for his no-nonsense approach, which won him the respect of key figures in the government, the military, and the intelligence community. In 1999, as Yeltsin's health deteriorated, Putin's political career took a decisive turn. Yeltsin, facing mounting pressure and an increasingly unstable political environment, appointed Putin as prime minister. This move was initially seen as a temporary solution, but Putin's handling of the Second Chechen War in 1999 propelled him to national prominence. His firm stance on combating separatism and terrorism, particularly his decision to use military force in Chechnya, won him broad support among the Russian population. On December 31, 1999, Yeltsin made a surprising announcement. He would resign from the presidency and hand over power to Vladimir Putin. In his address to the nation, Yeltsin called Putin a man of strong character, decisiveness, and integrity, and entrusted him with the responsibility of leading the country. Putin's assumption of power was smooth, and in March 2000 he won the presidential election with overwhelming support, officially beginning his tenure as the President of Russia. Putin faced numerous challenges, both domestic and international. Domestically, Russia was struggling with economic instability, corruption, and political disarray. Internationally, the country was still adjusting to its new status as a post-Soviet state. Putin's early efforts were focused on stabilizing the Russian economy, implementing political reforms, and restoring Russia's standing on the world stage. One of Putin's key strategies was to consolidate power by curbing the influence of Russia's oligarchs, the businessmen who had amassed vast wealth and political influence during the 1990s. Notable oligarchs such as Boris Berezovsky, Mikhail Khodorkovsky, and others found themselves at odds with Putin's government. In the early 2000s, Putin took aggressive actions against these individuals, either forcing them into exile or imprisoning them on charges of corruption and tax evasion. These moves allowed Putin to centralize control over the economy and the political system, weakening any potential opposition. Putin's political opponents within Russia have faced significant challenges. Throughout his presidency, opposition parties and activists have been subjected to harassment, legal action, and in some cases, imprisonment. High-profile opponents such as Alexei Navalny, a vocal critic of Putin's government, have faced legal persecution, including charges of fraud and embezzlement. Navalny's anti-corruption efforts have led to widespread protests and a growing movement against Putin's rule. However, despite facing strong opposition, Putin has been able to maintain his grip on power through a combination of media control, legal maneuvering, and a deeply loyal power base. Putin's political longevity can be attributed to several factors. First and foremost, he has been able to maintain a strong, centralized government that is firmly controlled by his administration. He has used his influence over the Russian media to shape public opinion, suppress dissent, and ensure that his policies are presented in the most favorable light. By controlling the media narrative, Putin has been able to position himself as the defender of Russia's interests, both domestically and abroad. Additionally, Putin's administration has benefited from Russia's significant energy resources, particularly its vast oil and gas reserves. Under his leadership, Russia has experienced economic growth, with energy exports serving as a key driver of the economy. This economic stability has translated into political support, particularly among the Russian population, who see Putin as a stabilizing force in a country that has endured decades of upheaval. Moreover, Putin's foreign policy has played a role in solidifying his popularity. His aggressive stance toward the West, particularly after the annexation of Crimea in 2014 and Russia's involvement in the conflict in Ukraine, has resonated with many Russians who view his leadership as a defense of national pride and sovereignty. Putin's ability to navigate international tensions and present himself as a defender of Russian interests has bolstered his domestic image.